resource scarcity, famines. We had such outrageous predictions that we were using up the earth, that we wouldn't have enough food to feed everyone, that we were going to be facing, wars and conflicts based on food resource. All bogus. Everything they predicted has collapsed. The tropical rainforest, across the board, even down to our apples. You can't trust them. Whenever something turns into a, quote, crisis, you know you're being conned.
All right, ClimateDepot.com. I want to talk more with our guests in this final segment about solutions to expose and stop these people. And another lie, Coral Island's getting bigger. So the islands are getting bigger, not smaller. We'll be right back.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
When you're out on the road, the last place you want to be is on the road. But if the unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you were wearing diamond gussets.
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you'll love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
We turn jeans inside out. Diamond gusset jeans. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality. Our Defender motorcycle jeans combine gusset comfort with Kevlar protection, so you can ride all day with confidence. Order yours at gusset.com. Diamond gusset jeans got it. Others don't.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365. Hello, friends. This is Alex Jones. You've heard me talk about Cal-Ben 5-star soaps for years. This is an American-made product of the highest quality and compares to nothing you will find in stores. You can buy factory direct, shipped via UPS right to your door. Check them out on the web at 5starsoap.com or call 800-340-7091. Take my word for it. Once you've used Pure Soap, you won't buy anything else. Since 1947, Cal-Ben Soap Company has been showing consumers that soap can be tough on dirt and gentle on the environment. Buy American and stay clean, as well as support InfoWars. Visit 5starsoap.com today or call 1-800-340-7091. Well, Marty, what do you have to say?
As founder and owner for over 63 years, satisfaction is guaranteed or double your dirt back. Call us at 1-800-340-7091 for a free catalog or visit our website, 5starsoap.com. Thank you.
I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. Thomas Jefferson. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Our website's on the front line stopping this globalist takeover. Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. ClimateDepot.com is the central clearinghouse for exposing this eugenicist fraud. I want to get into China rethinks its controversial one-child policy. And they go on to admit here that rich people were already allowed to have more than one child. Party members could do whatever they wanted. But that now they don't have enough young people to pay for the social welfare net, even though it's tiny in China, and that they're talking about getting rid of it because they've dropped below 1.7 replacement rate. The average Westerner's 1.3. You have 2 adults, and they don't replace themselves. They have 1.3 children on average. The United States has that average, except for our giant immigrant influx. We're dying. But there I was in a convenience store Friday, and I'm up at the counter, and they're talking about how they're about to ban plastic bags in Austin. And I've read the studies about how pulp causes more toxins, more chemicals, more acid, more problems. They don't care. It's about making you take their light bulbs, making you accept what type of toilet you can have, making you accept federal inspections of your house, making you accept no plastic bags. It's about them being the bosses. Going back to Mark Moreno. Mark, how do we stop these people? And B, get into population reduction, because from my research, that's the heart of what they're all about.
Yeah, well, first of all, I had to stop. The most single effective thing Americans did to stop the congressional climate bill was two words: mockery and ridicule. And it wasn't the Tea Parties. It was the town halls in the summer of 2009 when congressmen went home to their districts, having just voted, and including some Republicans like Sonny Bono's widow, just voting for the congressional cap and trade bill. They were booed, jeered, ridiculed, laughed at in town halls when they tried to talk about global warming and the alleged consensus. That had more of an impact. That scared U.S. senators. That scared people like what's his name in Minnesota, Al Franken, to run scared and bail out of the global warming bill. I mean, hardcore leftists got so afraid of public outrage. So that's one of the biggest things we can do. Al Gore now gives speeches in Oregon, Florida. He's booed out of the hall. We have hundreds of protesters out there chanting, interrupting his speech. Civility has to go out the window. Confront your congressman, confront your local officials. Don't let them have a moment's moral superiority when it comes to global warming. Tell them you know.
Oh, they love their fake moral superiority, their arrogantness.
And on population, here's the bottom line. Major leftist publications like Grist Magazine, this is a magazine who in 2006 said we should have Nuremberg-style trials for global warming skeptics, are now finding some intellectual honesty. One of their most recent articles, this was in July, writer Fred Pierce, who's a leftist global warming believer, quotes, "The population bomb I remember being scared of 40 years ago has been diffused fast." And he said it doesn't fit the doomsday agenda now. And half the world now has fewer than replacement level of children. Half the world. The new population problem is underpopulation. And we have a man named Paul Ehrlich, the godfather of this movement. And I actually did what I call a, quote, accurate tribute to him. He's the father of the overpopulation movement. Here's the accurate tribute. Mad, kook, lunatic, disgrace, worse than Hitler, fearmonger, parasite on the academic system, and the Bernie Madoff of science, unquote. This was a guy who called for forced sterilization adding forced sterilization agents to our water to keep population down. This is a guy who called for the de-development of the United States. This is a hardcore ideology. And we have at the head of NASA right now, the NASA Goddard Space Institute, the GIST studies, James Hansen, the U.S.'s lead global warming alarmist.
Destroy industrial society is the goal.
He's endorsing a book calling for the deindustrialization of the U.S. that's called for destroying dams and essentially bombing us back to the Stone Age. This is a head NASA warming scientist, and the media ignores that. This permeates their entire existence.
But see, Mark, that's it. It is a shielded, paramilitary, inch-by-inch takeover, fully conquering and enslaving humanity. These people are the ultimate tyrants, and they're calling for our arrest. You have been demonized specifically. Lord Monckton, they have called for his arrest. These people are flaming out of the closet Nazi tyrant scum. And you're right, we've got to get in their face and say, listen, you little bloodthirsty tyrant, you tried to figure out how to repackage slavery, and it ain't going to work, scumbag.
Well, here's the bottom line, and this goes with CO2. It goes actually. One of the leftists, George Monbiot in England, just recanted veganism. And here's the analysis: you control what people eat, you control people. You control CO2, what we exhale from our mouth. You control people. Climate control is not about controlling the weather; it's about controlling people. It always has been. That's why the United Nations was formed, to come up with a fake scientific issue that they could then peddle as though the science was settled, and then come up with alleged solutions. And oddly enough, all the solutions had to do with the UN bureaucrats gaining power, money, carbon taxes. One German science advisor wants a CO2 budget for every man, woman, and child on the planet.
They want carbon rations.
Right, and guess what? Americans, we're currently at 4 times our acceptable level of carbon emissions. And interestingly enough, on population, on Climate Depot today, Alex, I have a picture of the Gerber baby with a rifle scope target on its face. The bottom line is they don't really care. The leftists and the environmentalists don't care that much about the little black and the brown babies being born around the world. In fact, they're actually trying to stop their development. What they're most concerned with are the Western Europeans and the American babies that come into the world with our lifestyle, with Western lifestyles. That's what terrifies them because the earth can't handle it. So they're trying to stop our babies more than anything from being born. At the same time, they're locking in 1.6 billion people, predominantly of color, into a back-breaking existence of poverty. We have James Cameron, by the way, who chickened out of a debate last month in Aspen. At the last minute, my flight was in midair. He was scheduled to debate me and Andrew Breitbart and Anne McElhaney, Irish filmmaker. He went down to Brazil. This is a guy who lives in a 16,000-square-foot house. One of his homes is 16,000 square foot. The director of Avatar and Titanic, James Cameron. He goes down with Sigourney Weaver to Brazil. The leftist president, Lula, by the way, friends of Hugo Chavez and friends of Castro, no right-winger, no oil-funded president, laughs at James Cameron, who goes down and stops development projects, a hydroelectric dam that would bring running water and electricity ultimately to millions of Brazilians. He flies down with a Hollywood actress, tries to prevent this development, and then flies home to his 16,000-square-foot mansion. Where are people hinting at the racism involved? White, wealthy Westerners going into countries where dominated by people of color, telling them they can't have what we have. In fact, Jerry Brown in California, I interviewed him at an Earth Summit in South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa, 2002. He said the developing world can't emulate Western prosperity because the Earth couldn't handle it. We need something like 5 or 20 more Earths. Well, the bottom line is that is the equivalent of telling people in Africa living in huts made of dung that they can't advance, they can't have what we have. It's condemning their children to high infant mortality, them to a life that's so short.
Plus, if they're so worried about overpopulation,
that's right.
Every time you industrialize, births go into negative.
Exactly, because that's exactly what happens. The wealthier the countries get, the less population. You think they'd be out there clamoring for the.
It goes back to Margaret Sanger.
But every single person who's on this bandwagon, including Oprah Winfrey, John Travolta, the Patriots quarterback, Tom Brady, sadly has been praising Al Gore, live in mansions with square footage, in excess of 10,000 square feet. All of these people are basically advocating poverty, misery, and death and destruction for people in the developing world, or at best, subsidized socialism.
No, they're a bunch of greedy criminals. And you go back to Margaret Sanger saying we've got to pose as liberals to kill these weeds. And they hate black people. They hate brown people. They're a bunch of racists. And as soon as so-called minorities figure this out, they'll have the key to everything. They'll understand a real racist isn't some toothless drunk wearing a white hat. That's an idiot who is a racist. The hardcore racists saddle up to you with a loving little simpering NPR voice, and they're out there celebrating the recession, depression, saying it'll lower our carbon footprint. These are life-hating scum parasites.
Yeah, in fact, Robert Redford was called out by black ministers about 2 years ago. They protested at a Sundance Film Festival, basically saying that Robert Redford's environmental advocacy is racist to people of color. In other words, his policies that Robert Redford, the Hollywood actor, advocates would raise energy prices. And guess what? Who does that affect most? Seniors on fixed income and minorities who are generally poorer in our society. They pay a higher percentage for these higher energy bills so that guilty white liberals can feel like they're doing something. Give the Christian Science.
But they're not even
credit.
guilty white liberals. I've talked to them. They hate poor people. They hate working Americans. They just love the cutting stuff off to people. Mark Moreno, incredible interview. Thanks for the great work you're doing over at ClimateDepot.com. I look forward to speaking to you again in the near future. We will rout out these 21st century Nazis.
Well, thanks a lot. We have the big UN Climate Summit coming up in December, so we hope to talk before then. That'll be their last gasp to try to get us to do something.
Yes, sir. Look forward to speaking to you then. God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, everything he said was true. Everything he said was true. I mean, I have to look at these murdering criminals every day. Do you know they told the third world, oh, we're going to tax rich America and Europe and give you the money? And they got to Copenhagen, and they gave them the treaty, and it said more taxes on the third world than even on the West. It has nothing to do with the earth. You notice the federal government's approved GMO salmon to be released. In every study, they will